On the morning of July 2nd, 1961, the writer, Ernest Hemingway, took his own life at his home in Ketchum, Idaho. It was reported that he rested the butt of the shotgun on the floor, placed the barrel to his forehead, just above the eyes, and pulled the trigger. Years before, his father had shot himself.
Journal entry, June 18th, 1989. I have fixed a virtual... His last journal entry was written 2 days before his death. It consisted of a single sentence. I cannot bear, even once more, to wake to sorrow.
Someone we know, a colleague, a friend, a family member, might one day throw themselves from a bridge or swallow an overdose of pills or shoot themselves in a sunny bedroom. Chances are, we would receive the news and say to ourselves, I should have seen it coming. But there is no question of seeing it coming. It is already here.
Okay, so that is obviously the end of the film.
C'est tout.
Yes, sweetie. Okay.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome. So that's the film, and it's going to be showing this Sunday at 12:45 at the Kabuki Cinemas.
What's the name of the film again?
And the name of the film is The Darkness of Day, but the name of the program is Solitude Standing. It's a whole bunch of shorts. This is just a 30-minute film. I think if it was any longer, it'd be very hard to weather it. In the course of May, and it's also going to show Wednesday, May 5th at 3:30, also at the Kabuki Cinema.
What time will it be
this Sunday,
on?
12:45.
12:45.
And Wednesday the 5th at 3:30. So, what were we going to say? Oh, what we were talking about when we were off camera was that just what it was like making the film, which at times was really, really trying, I have to admit. I'd be working on it for 6 or 7 hours, and then I would just realize I was like in the darkest mood. You know, I would just have to stop and walk away for a day, and then I could come back and work on it. When I was first working on this film, you know, I'm just doing the sound. It's not like I had some great suffering while I was doing this, but
You had to look at the
challenge,
visuals,
right? I had to watch
right?
the visuals over and over. So so it's a different, it's just the experience of doing that and hearing this mood all the time. And when you're writing some sort of serious, mood like that, sometimes there's only so much of it you really can listen to because it really starts to get to you. And an interesting thing, I guess, for me during the process was my mother had a stroke, a bad one, right when we began working on the film in earnest, the soundtrack, and I had to travel up to Oregon and take care of her for about a month and a half when she came out of the hospital. And she's fine now and everything's cool. But she was very frail, and so at the same time that my mother was going through this, I was also working on this film. And so I could not let her hear this film, the sound. So it was all on headphones because I brought all my equipment up to Oregon and piled it into her living room and was actually working on this film, for a little bit while then also looking after her. And boy, was that an interesting combination. But I'm very happy with the way the film has turned out.
Yeah, I think you should be proud of yourself, and you also have many CDs out, but one of them is called "What I Have Never Told You."
Yes. And
one of the songs from that CD is on "Darkness."
Yes, and you just heard it. It's the title cut.
Yeah, I've heard. I have your CD, and I remember when I heard it that I thought, oh wow, this is really dramatic. It's taking me somewhere, and I really liked it.
The funny thing about this music is, well, I'm not going to tell that story, but there's a funny thing about the music that Jay pulled it off of the CD. I gave him the CD, and he just happened to say, "This is great." And usually I compose things very specifically, but it's very interesting working with a filmmaker too, because you might write something for a scene, and then they'll use it in another scene. And they won't use it in the scene you actually originally wrote it for. They'll just move it over there, and I got used to that. The first time I ever had that happen to me, I was just like, appalled.
You wanted more artistic control,
right? It was like, how could you? What do you mean? And now they're using something completely different, in there, and then I realized, of course, I do the same thing all the time myself with my own music. I'll just throw things wherever. So then I thought it was really cool. I was like really kind of into it this time. I'd just say like, well, let's try it over here, and we'll throw it in there, and then you get an idea of thematic usage too, about all the different places in the films where a touch of this, comes in, and you don't keep trying to write more music. You actually find that you may only need 2 or 3 elements, and that's all you're going to need. You don't have to keep writing more music.
Yeah, it is part of Walter Murch's 6 steps toward editing, good editing, is to edit on emotion.
Well, he's right.
Well, narrative, as it were. Emotional narrative. Yeah. So, Erika?
Yes.
I think it's been a pleasure having you here, and we say good night to our Planet Glee viewers. We didn't get any calls tonight, but that's okay. We're on at 6 o'clock, a little different time than usual.
Sure enough.
And it sounds like the buzzer's going off in this place. I don't know if you can hear that, viewers, but sounds like the fire alarm's going off.
All hell's breaking loose.
Is it one of those kind of Fridays?
Got a jumper on the roof.
Was it that kind of Friday for you? It's still going to keep happening. That's the thing. The Friday's still going to keep going on. And we hope everyone has a good, safe journey this evening, whatever you do. And thank you for watching Planet Glee. And, so... I'm not sure. Sometimes it depends. We're really